Hello, this is Lavinia at Cross Keys Crafts. Today I would like to create a little design with my new and some of my old Lavinia stamps. I recently got these bat stamps, or I think they're called flutter mice or flitter mice on Lavinia, and I had a play with them. I actually recorded the video, but I deleted it again because it was more of a play rather than a tutorial. But one thing I realised when I was playing, because I tried to use as many of my new stamps as I could, that it was just too much. And I realised it's actually better to just use a few stamps in this case and not to have too much going on. And when I was thinking about the flutter or flitter mice, I'll have to look it up, I thought, well, it's actually funny that they're called mice, and we've got lots of mice from Lavinia stamps. This one is one of the, I think it's a mini or moo. And I thought, wouldn't it be funny if we had a little mouse trying to be one of these bats? And I thought, well, one way or one thing that's missing is some wings. And I thought in this woodland set we actually got some which would looks like feathers. So wouldn't it be funny if this little mouse tried to fly? And that's what I want to do today. I have prepared a card base here. I've got some paper underneath. That is 5 by 5 because I would like to put it on a 5 7/8 square card, and I would like to put a mat behind this because I would like to keep this really I don't want to say clean and simple, but really simple as such. I don't want to do any ink blending on this. I just want the black on white and see how it works. It's the first time I've done something like that. So one thing I did on my other card is I used this branch. I think it's just called tree branch. I'll link to all the stamps below. I use this one because this is nice for the bats to hang on, but only if you turn it sort of upside down to have the blank branch here at the bottom basically. And you can even stamp this off a little bit. I'll have a quick look here how much space I need for the mouse at the bottom. Sorry that this might actually have to put this away for now so you can see how I'm placing these. So I won't use the big bat, I think. I think I will just have this little one, or the medium one and the little one. And then that gives me enough space here. I'm just thinking whether I want these actually to be on the top left. The problem is with this sometimes because the branch ends like that, but I can, this would be too much of an angle, I can sort of put it in the corner here and then hang these hanging down like this. Yeah, because you do get trees that have got the branches down, they're not all going horizontally. So I could actually have the bigger bat and the medium one there, and then this little mouse has got enough space here for feathers on either side of the hands there. Yeah, I think I go for that design. If you have got these acetate sheets, obviously mine are stuck down except for this new one, so you can have a play with the acetates. That's what Joe Rice does. So I think I start with this mouse because then I know how much space I need for the feathers there at the bottom and the mouse itself. So, and for this I'm placing this paper underneath again. I'm getting conscious, although I try to clean my mat, I have got dots of glue on here. I try to get it off. I've also got stains of pigment powder on the side here. If you got any good tips on that, you're welcome to comment. I've tried spirit alcohol, I've tried hand sanitizer to get it off. I don't want to use nail polish remover because that will take the grid off as well. So I'm just thoroughly inking the mouse up here. I'm always checking that it's covered nicely because it is a silhouette stamp and we want this to be really solid. So I don't need to have a lot of space at the bottom, but I need some space on either side for those feathers. And I'm just placing it down. This, by the way, is my 300 years from UK Crafts. This is one of the old lots, so it's a bit smoother than the new version that I received recently. So I'm giving this enough time to sink into the cardstock, and then I can take it off. I've got a little bit of a speckled look, and there's one spot there. I can remedy that in a moment with a brush. So now I'm coming in with the feather. So again, it's fairly solid, so I'm inking this up thoroughly. Also, I have never used this one before, so I will just take some scrap paper and just stamp it off once. Because if there is any residue from the production, then that will come off. And also, be mindful you don't put your finger onto the ink pad, because that will end up on your card, or it will do on mine. So being mindful there. So this one is actually quite big, but I don't mind as long as I sort of overlap it with that hand there of the mouse. If you do miss out a little bit, you can always fill it in afterwards with a fine liner, but ideally I get right onto it. There we go. Yeah, I like that. I will zoom in a moment. And now I'm doing the other side. So I will rotate this a little bit because the hand's going that way. I think it would be nice if the feather went that way as well. There we go. Yeah, I really like that. So now I'm coming in with my brush, just getting an ordinary brush now. I'll get a smaller one. Sorry about the noise there, just rummaging in my pen, brushes. So I'm just inking this up a little bit and then just filling in the areas where I've missed out a bit. Also, I think this speckled look itself, has got to do with the surface of the card, of the cardstock itself. If you've got very smooth card, you're less likely to have those speckles. So that's the mouse done. Now I can come in with that branch. So I think for that I will actually turn this round, so if I don't reach over the mouse, I'm less likely to mess that up. And I will also move it down a little bit because I will do some off stamping. So this way, this time, because such a big stamp, I will actually do it the other way around and have my stamp on the block there, and will apply the ink like this. I find that a bit more controllable. I do alter every now and then. Again, plenty of ink there. And the good thing with a VersaFine Clair is you've got plenty of time to play around with it, move around before it actually dries. So I, just as a reminder to myself, I don't want too much of an angle, but I need this to be sort of at least mostly off. I can come in a little bit later and fill that. So just thinking how much I want off. I will actually put it like this and then fill this in a moment. So I'm just going for it now. There we go. Again, it is a bit speckled, so I'm coming in with my brush. Let me just zoom in for that. I don't know if the camera picks it up. We've got a bit of a dull day today. It's only September, but the weather is proper November weather. So if you wanted to, because this is actually a bit dry now, you could come in with, like, you know, the black soot and apply it a bit with a tiny bit of water to make it a bit more movable. But at the moment I think I'm okay with that. It's not as black as I would like it, but it's still okay. What I don't like using is like a Sharpie or any sort of pen that has got a sheen to it, because that will show. And this is why I like to use the actual ink pad. So what I will do here is I will try and extend this here going upwards. So I'm just drawing the outline there. Got a bit of a long bristle there I need to take off. And then I can try and fill this in. I do actually have a refill. I think I just get that one out. So this is the VersaFine refill re-inker for my Onyx Black. I've had this for years. I haven't used it much yet. And I put it on a little tile, and I've got a tiny bit of water on there as well. Can you see that? Just to keep this going just a little bit. I don't want this to be too thick. So, and then that, without warping the paper, makes it a bit easier for me to actually paint with this. Says she. I hope so. Yeah. So I don't want it to be too runny, but it's definitely easier to move it. And once that dries, I will also use it to fill that in a bit more. It won't show. You can get the same effect by stamping your ink pad onto the tile. You can get ink off, but I actually will leave this out because I think my ink pad needs re-inking. So I'll leave that to dry. I've got a bit of shine there where I've got it a bit too thick, but I'll leave it for now, and I might have to blot that off a little bit. So I can now stamp the bats. So I probably will have the biggest one in the middle there, and then the other one next to it. So if I'm going off camera every now and then, I try to zoom in a little bit. So let's get this out of the way. So when I first used these, I was struggling a little bit to get the feet actually onto the branches. Again, you can use a pen or so to extend them, but I'll try this time. I'll try to be conscious and actually make sure they overlap. Make sure it's actually straight, because they would actually be going over the branches, wouldn't they? They wouldn't just be under the branches. So, and these are really cute. I like the bats. I'm not a very Halloween-y person, but I do like wildlife of any sort. Yeah, same as before. I've also got a bit of a spill there from the first time round where I've got it looks a bit like double stamping, so I will have to colour that in. Well, paint that in a little bit with black. Not sure whether it shows. So, and then undo the little one, sorry, the medium one. I might even add the smallest one. I'll have a look in a moment. Yeah, and I think I did clean my stamps, but they're a bit fuzzy around the edges. And I think if I press too hard, then that catches. So this one I'll put here. That's better. So quickly off camera, I will fill this in with my brush as I've shown you. And this one's dried nicely now, so the sheen has disappeared. So now we'll leave this to sit for just a moment before I come in with a pastel pen. Whilst the ink was drying, I cut my card base. My original thought was just to put a frame round this, so to mat it and then put it on white cardstock. But I didn't want it to look too dark, you know, a bit like a sympathy card. So I thought by cutting the whole base in black, this actually gives a nice effect. and at a later date I will put a panel, again 5 by 5 inches on the inside. Sorry, what is it, 5 by 3/4? I've forgotten now. No, it's 5.5 by 5.5. I will put that on the inside then to write my sentiment. So I've got my white pastel pen here. You can also use a Posca pen or a gel pen or a white watercolor pen. And all I want to do is just to outline, and I'll turn this sideways a little bit, just these wings a little bit, because bats, they wrap themselves into their wings a little bit. So I'm going a bit off center there, and I'm just smudging it a little bit. Doing the same on this one here. Oh, let me zoom in a bit. Apologies for that. Got carried away there and wasn't conscious what you can actually and can't see. So can you see what I did there? Just a bit off center. Just by smudging it, it keeps it in place. I will also put a little bit of highlights here on the branch, just sort of a dotted look. A little bit on the feathers here, and a little bit on the mouse here, just at the top. Tempted to give the mouth a little gel pen eye. I think I will do that in a moment. So the other thing I have got here is just a watercolor pencil in yellow, just to color those eyes in. I think that will be nice. Again, I think I will actually give them a pupil with a black gel pen, because I think, although this is a solid stamp, I think that would look quite nice. So let me just grab that. So it's just a standard gel pen here, glaze pen. If I can find it where I got it from, I will link to it below. I always test it on the side. This one, for example, is very dried up, so I need to make sure I'm moving any excess there until it flows nicely. So I'm just really just putting a dot there. Show you that in a moment. And then these are getting two pupils. Ooh, that one's looking to the side. This one, yeah, bit of a lucky dip there, but that's fine. Let me just zoom in there for you. That's the maximum zoom. I'm not quite sure how much the camera actually picks up. And those are the eyes of the bats. Apologies for that. As I said, daylight is really dull. I've turned my lights up in here. So, all I need to do now, oh no, I forgot one thing. I have found a sentiment stamp that I think would work nicely. One that I think would be great if you had a stamp that said hang in there, you know, for somebody you're thinking of and feeling maybe a little bit poorly. But I don't have that. What I do have though is this love you to the moon and back. And I thought if I just stamped to the moon and back, that would actually be quite nice for this. So what I'm doing for that is I'm taking some washi tape here. You can just use any sort of clear tape, or you can use a post-it note. And I'm just covering the bits that I do not want to stamp, which is the heart here at the back. I need to lift it up a little bit to see that. I'm actually pressing my fingernail down so to make sure I'm not covering the K there from the back. And then I need to cover the first part, just lifting that up so I know where I need to place this. So I've only got to the moon and back here now on the stamp, and now I can ink this up. And inking it up thoroughly, and I can be a bit messy because we're taking off the tape in a moment. What I have forgotten is that I actually meant to place this on this end of the stamping block, but it's not too much of a problem because it's a very big block for a thin sentiment. So now I need to take these off Hope I don't have any excess from before where I haven't cleaned it properly. So, and now I can place this here at the bottom, trying to get that straight. I think it would be nice. So I'm trying not to wobble it because obviously I've got quite a bit of space there where I haven't got a stamp, so I'm putting my pressure just on this end of the stamping block, pressing my finger along a little bit here, and then hopefully have stamped it properly. Yeah, teeny bit wonky, but that's okay. So because my idea was if you have it on the other end of the stamping block, I didn't pay attention which way around I had it, it's actually easier to handle this rather than hovering it over there. So I'm leaving the glaze to dry, and then I will just put this on the card base with, I'll probably use some wet glue or some double-sided adhesive, and then my card is finished. Yeah, I'm really pleased with this. Very monochrome card, but I think it tells a story, and this I think is what cards should be about, telling stories, being a bit cheeky. Yeah, and I really like this. And if you like this one too, you might want to give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of what I'm creating, you might want to subscribe to my channel. I'd be very happy about that. And I'll see you soon with another video.